Have you ever felt like a silent shadow at the family party? Always present, always sacrificing, but never really seen? And if one day you discovered that your whole life was just a role in someone else's script, what would you do? I'm Rachel, 32, a single mother of 5-year-old Lily, and currently shaking because I've spent all my money. It's Easter Eve, and I've been foolish enough to think we'd be welcome at the family dinner. I brought a casserole and spent hours mashing potatoes while Lily colors pictures of bunnies for her cousins. But as soon as we walk in, Mom's reluctant smile, Dad's indifferent nod, Samantha sprawls out on the couch, sipping her wine, and Lily, my daughter, is just singing her little Easter song, her voice booming above the noise. That's when my mother snaps. "Rachel, get her out. She's too loud," my mother says, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. She doesn't even look at me, just waves her hand toward the door like I'm a hired hand. I froze, the plate still warm in my hands, steam rising from the anger I was trying to swallow. "She's just singing, Mom. It's Easter." I tried to keep my voice calm for Lily's sake, but my mom's eyes narrowed and she stepped closer, her perfume choking me. "Samantha needs peace. She's had a rough week. Take Lily out now." I glanced at Samantha, sprawled out in her designer sweater, bought with the $10,000 0 cents I'd loaned her. She caught my eye and smiled, swirling her glass of wine. There were no excuses, no guilt. Dad hunched over his phone in the corner, didn't even look up, the room filled with the clinking of glasses, the giggles of Samantha's kids, tearing apart the Easter baskets I'd stuffed with candy I couldn't afford for Lily. And there I stood, standing in the kitchen like an idiot, realizing I wasn't welcome in this house. "Okay," I said, my voice strained. I slammed the pot down so hard it rattled, and I took Lily's hand. "Come on, honey." She looked at me, eyes wide and confused, her bunny photo crumpled in her fist. "Mommy, why is she mad?" she whispered as I pulled her toward the door. My throat burned, but I didn't answer. I couldn't. Not when I was choking on the truth. They didn't want us here. They never did. The door swung open and I heard Samantha laughing from inside, high and sharp, as if she'd won something. My mother's voice drifted through the crack before she slammed the door shut. "Honestly, Rachel's so stressed, always making a fuss." Then, click. The lock slammed shut. I stood there, Lily shivering beside me, her sneakers soaked with mud from the porch. The sound of the lock echoed in my head over and over again. I reached down, pulling Lily closer, her small body trembling against mine. "Mommy, does Grandma hate me?" she asked, her voice so small it broke something inside me. I stroked her hair, trying to smile. "No, honey, Grandma's just tired." But my mind was screaming, $22,000, 0 cents. That's how much I had spent on them this year. Mom's rent, $12, 0 cents in my name because she couldn't afford it. $5,000 for Dad's hospital stay after his stroke. $10,000 for Samantha's spa, which she went bankrupt because of too hard marketing. A few $100s here and there for Samantha's kids' tuition while Lily wore old clothes. I did it all, thinking it was the family thing to do. And what did I get? A locked door and a smirk from my sister. I stood up, my teeth clenched painfully, and looked back at the house. The windows were lit, setting up their perfect little party. Samantha's kids were probably gorging on chocolate eggs. Mom was probably clapping Samantha's hand, talking about how hard her life was. Dad was probably still glued to his phone, oblivious. And me, I was out here in the dark with my kid crying because I didn't understand why I wasn't good enough for them. I thought about the last time I said no to Mom when she asked for another $500, 0 cents for I told her I had to get my car fixed to get to work. She called me selfish, said I didn't know how to put my family first. Samantha intervened, texting me a lecture on gratitude while posting selfies in her new coat. That was the game, right? They would make me feel guilty, ashamed, like I owed them everything, and I fell for it. Every time. And I didn't turn back. The ride home was quiet, save for Lily's soft breathing in the back seat. My mind, however, didn't stop. It kept counting every penny, every sacrifice, every time I bit my tongue to keep the peace. I paid Mom's electric bill when she forgot to pay. I paid Dad's prescription when his insurance lapsed. I even bought Samantha's kids the ridiculously expensive sneakers they needed for school, while Lily made do with thrift store finds. And for what? So they could kick us out like trash the moment Lily's voice got too loud? I parked outside our shabby apartment, the one with the leaky faucet. It wasn't much, but it was mine. Ours. I carried Lily inside, her head on my shoulder, and tucked her into bed. She stirred, murmuring, Mom, can we stay longer next time? My chest tightened and I kissed her forehead. I couldn't tell her the truth, not yet, that there wouldn't be a next time, that I wouldn't let them hurt her again. I sank back into the couch, staring at the cracked ceiling. My phone buzzed. Samantha, texting a selfie from the party, all fake smiles and sparkling earrings. Thanks for the wine, sis. I missed a great night. I laughed, a bitter sound that echoed in the empty room. Missed a great night? No, Samantha, I didn't miss anything. I saw it all. Their lies, their greed, their betrayals, and I was done pretending that everything was okay. I opened my banking app, the balance clear on the screen, $47.62. So it was after I sent my mom $500, 0 cents for Easter groceries last week. I scrolled through my transactions, each one a stab in the gut. Mom's rent, Dad's hospital bill, Samantha's emergency loan, my entire life reduced to a list of payments to people who didn't care about me. I closed the app and leaned back, my eyes stinging. I was too angry to cry. Tomorrow I would start unraveling it all. The payments, the favors, the endless guilt. I would show them what life looked like without their personal ATMs. But tonight, I just sat there, listening to Lily's soft snores from the next room. For the first time in years, I felt something shift inside me. Not relief, not yet, but a spark of something sharp and alive. I am no longer their doormat. I woke up the morning after Easter with a pounding headache. Lily was still asleep, her bunny photo tucked under her pillow like a talisman. I trudged into the kitchen, made a strong cup of coffee, and sat at my desk, staring at the bills stacked like a paper monument to my stupidity. My rent on my crappy apartment, $900, 0 cents due last week. Groceries, $50, 0 cents. If I ate only ramen noodles and off-brand cereal, that wasn't spare change, that was my life, funneled into the black hole of my so-called family. I was a financial analyst, which sounded more glamorous than it actually was. Imagine me hunched over a laptop 12 hours a day, crunching numbers for clients who would fire me if I missed a decimal. I work remotely, which means my office is a corner of the living room where I dodge Lily's crayons and pray the Wi-Fi doesn't go down. I'm good at it, really good, because I'm obsessed with details. Every penny is tracked, every budget is balanced. It's how I fed, clothed, and entertained Lily after her father walked out when she was 2, leaving me a note that said, "You'll get better." Spoiler, I wasn't. But I made it through, building a life for us in the musty shoebox we called home. No savings, no safety net, just me, my spreadsheet, and a kid who deserved better than thrift store sneakers. So how did I end up $22,000, 0 cents deep in my family's mess? Simple: guilt. Guilt and the lie I told myself that family would always stick together no matter what. Let's start with my mom, Carol, the queen of sad stories. 5 years ago, she called me at 3 a.m., crying so hard I thought someone had died. "My landlord kicked me out," she wailed. "I can't lose my house, Rachel." Never mind that she'd blown her savings on a book club trip. Never mind that I was struggling to make ends meet, nursing Lily in a 1-bedroom apartment with a broken furnace. I'd signed a lease in my name, $1,000, 0 cents a month every month, for a house I didn't live in. Why? Because my mom had said, "You're my rock, Rachel. I know I can count on you." And I swallowed it like a fool. Then there's Samantha, my sister, who is 28 but still 16. She has a knack for screwing things up and landing on her feet, mostly because I was the idiot who caught her when she fell. Take the spa disaster, for example. 2 years ago, she showed up at my door, eyes wide and promising, begging for $10, 0 cents to follow her dreams. She said it was the spa because she'd taken a weekend massage course and was basically a pro. I should have laughed and kicked her out of my apartment. Instead, I wired the money, thinking maybe this time she'd prove herself. 6 months later, the spa was bankrupt. Bad reviews, worse accounting, and Samantha blaming everyone but herself. Did she give me my money back? She sent me a candle as a thank you, then posted a selfie on the beach while I ate canned soup for dinner. Dad, James, wasn't doing much better. Last year, he had a stroke and was in intensive care. I was there every day, working and answering the phone in the hospital parking lot while Samantha brought in flowers for her Instagram stories. The bill came to $5,000, 0 cents after insurance. Guess who paid? Not Samantha, who couldn't handle the stress. Not Mom, who said, "You handle this stuff better, Rachel." Me. always me. I'd exhausted my emergency fund, telling myself it was worth it to keep Dad alive. He thanked me with a pat on the hand and said, "You're lucky to have a good job." Lucky, definitely. Oh, and don't forget the kids. Samantha's not mine. She has two, ages 7 and 9, who attend private school because Samantha wants the best for them. Noble, right? Except she can't afford the tuition, so I chip in $200, 0 cents a month. Meanwhile, Lily wears jeans so patched they're basically performance art. I tell myself, that's fine, family helps family, but every time I see Samantha's kids in their pressed uniforms waving around iPads that I indirectly funded, I watch Lily color with cheap crayons and cringe. The worst part, they never saw me as anything more than a banker. Mom would call me restrained like it was a dirty word, then compliment Samantha on being a free spirit. "Look at Sammy, so generous," she'd exclaim. I tried to smile, my cake sitting there while Samantha's store-bought cake was eaten. Then Mom pulled me aside and said, "You should try harder, Rachel. Samantha makes people feel special." I went home that night, checked my account, $12, 0 cents after I paid Mom's gas bill, and laughed until I cried. Special, yes. It wasn't just the money. Mom once yelled at me in front of everyone because I wouldn't buy Samantha's kid a new bike. "You're so selfish, Rachel. You don't know how to fight." I was dumbfounded. Me? Selfish? I'd been wearing shoes with holes in them while Samantha was planning her next vacation. But I'd swallowed, nodded, promised to do better. Why? Because I'd bought into the lie that family was meant to be endured, no questions asked. Looking back, I see that they showed me just enough affection to keep me as their ATM. A good job, Rachel, from Dad, a rare hug from Mom, a half-hearted, "You're the best, sis," from Samantha when she needed money. I'd take it thinking that maybe this time they'd see me, really see me, not the checkbook, not the fixer, but me, Rachel, the one who stayed up all night worrying about their mess, the one who gave up vacation so they could have their own, the one who gave until it hurt. But they never did. To them, I was a solution-giving machine, and machines don't get loved. I took a sip of coffee and opened my laptop. My budget spreadsheet looked back, a grim diary of my sacrifices. $1,000, 0 cents for Mom's rent, month after month. $10, 0 cents for Samantha's pipe dream. $5, 0 cents for Dad's health. $200, 0 cents times 12 for children who weren't mine. I ran through it all, my jaw clenching with each line. I told myself I was doing it for family, for love, for duty, but as I sat there in my cold apartment with Lily's patch jacket hanging by the door, I saw it for what it was. Theft. They had stolen my time, my money, my trust, and I had let them. Lily stirred in the next room, muttering in her sleep. I closed my laptop, my hands shaking, not from sadness, but from something hotter, sharper. I wasn't just tired of their bullshit. I was tired of being their martyr. They wanted to treat me like I didn't matter? Fine. I would show them exactly how much I'd endured, and when it all fell apart, I wouldn't be there to pick up the pieces. I stood up, time to get Lily ready for daycare, time to go to work, time to get back to work. I wasn't going to be their savior anymore. I was Rachel, Lily's mother, survivor of her own miserable life, and I was about to take back what was mine. I dropped Lily off at daycare, kissed her forehead, promised to make cookies later, and drove home. My head was pounding with the weight of what I was about to do. I'd spent years playing the good daughter, the trustworthy sister, the piggy bank, but after last night's epiphany, I wasn't just going to stop. I was ready to burn it all down. Not with a scream or tears, I'm not that dramatic. I was going to do it my way, cold and calculating. Back at my apartment, I sank into the couch, the springs creaking as if they were judging my life choices. My phone was on the coffee table, a ticking notification bomb that I'd ignored since leaving my mom's house. I picked it up, half expecting another selfie from Samantha, maybe posing with the leftovers I'd paid for. Instead, there was a text from her, sent at 2 a.m. "Thanks for the Easter gift, sis. The kids loved it. You should have stayed longer." My breath caught. Stay longer? For what? Mopping the floor while they toasted to their own greatness? The text had a photo attached. Her kids tearing into gift baskets, their faces smeared with chocolate, Samantha beaming in a silk scarf, shouting, "I spent all your money." Lily's Easter? A dollar store egg hunt in our parking lot. I deleted the text without replying. Let her think I was sulking. She would soon find out I wasn't playing her game anymore. Next, I opened my banking app. The balance lit up like a neon sign, $47.62. That was my net worth after sending my mom $500, 0 cents for Easter groceries, which I now suspected was for Samantha's wine. My stomach churned, not from hunger, though I hadn't eaten since yesterday, but from the sheer audacity of it all. I scrolled through my transactions, each one from my family. Mom's $1, 0 cents rent. Samantha's $200, 0 cents for her kids' tuition. Dad's $300, 0 cents for his medications. I closed the app, picked up a notebook instead, and began listing what I was canceling. Rent, insurance, loan. The phone rang, distracting me. Mom's name flashed across the screen, and for a second I considered sending it to voicemail. But no, I wanted to hear her voice, to see if she'd mention last night or just rush into her next request. I answered, keeping my tone even. "Hey, Mom." "Rachel, honey," she said sweetly, as if she were auditioning for Mother of the Year. "You left suddenly last night. Is everything okay?" I laughed, a dry, bitter laugh that made her pause. "Okay," she had sent me and the baby out into the cold, "but sure. Let's pretend it was a scheduling mistake." "We're fine," I said, cutting each word short. "Lily's at daycare. I'm working. What do you need?" She hesitated, then began to speak. I was just thinking about Lily. She was so lively last night. Maybe she could be quieter next time. Samantha's been so stressed, being a single mom. She needs a break." I clenched the phone. Samantha? Stressed? And Lily, my 5-year-old who just wanted to sing, needed to be quieter? I could have screamed, but I kept my voice icy. "It's funny you mentioned stress. I'm a single mom too. Have you ever noticed?" She chuckled, a nervous laugh. "Oh, Rachel, you're strong. You don't have to be coddled like Samantha. You're fine." The word fine felt like a slap. Fine. The excuse they'd used for years to ignore me, to add to my burdens, to assume I'd carry them on. "That's right," I said. "Always fine." "So why did you call?" "Okay," she said, her tone shifting to the flattery I was so used to. "The water bill is coming and I'm a little late. Can you pay it? Just this once? Just this once?" Like I hadn't heard that every month in years. I closed my eyes, picturing her in her cozy kitchen, sipping the coffee I'd paid for while I debated whether to skip lunch to buy gas. "I'll think about it," I lied, and hung up before she could. My hands were shaking as I put the phone down. Confirmed, and a weight lifted off my shoulders that I'd carried for years. I imagined my mom's face when the landlord called. Bet it wouldn't be so cheesy. Next up was Dad's insurance. I had been paying for Dad's supplemental insurance since his stroke, $150, 0 cents a month that I didn't have. I logged into the provider's website, found his policy, and clicked Remove Dependent. Another warning, this action will immediately terminate coverage in effect. I didn't hesitate. Dad could rely on Samantha's free spirit to make changes. I pressed submit, and the screen flashed policy updated. Then came the big one, Samantha's loan. I was stupid to let her use my name to take out a $15,000 0 cents line of credit when I still believed she will pay me back. She hadn't paid a dime, leaving me to pay interest while she bought designer handbags. I opened the bank portal, requested an account freeze. My credit was in tatters thanks to them. I clicked freeze, and the confirmation came to my inbox. Restricted account pending review. I closed my laptop, each click a knife cutting the ropes they'd tied me to. No longer rented, insurance lost, loan locked. I wasn't just cutting them off. I was freeing myself. I stood up, pacing the small living room, adrenaline pounding. For the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about their problems. I was thinking about mine. About Lily's smile, about the life I wanted for us, about the fact that I deserved better than their crap. I touched Lily's coat, still hanging on the door, the fabric shimmering in the flickering light. She'd been so quiet last night, so confused, asking why her grandmother didn't want her. The memory fueled me more than any cup of coffee. I picked up my phone again, this time to check my work email. I had a report due. A client was expecting one by noon. Normally, I would be sweating bullets answering their calls while also answering my mom's. Not today. Today, I was done multitasking my life for people who didn't care. The clock was ticking past 10 IEMing. I poured another cup of coffee, letting the bitterness mix with my mood. I wasn't naive enough to think this was the end. Mom would call again, maybe crying. Samantha would text, maybe begging, maybe threatening. Dad might even break the silence, guilting me with his disappointed sigh. They would try to pull me back, dropping the bait just enough for me to take the bait. But I didn't take the bait, not anymore. I sat down, opened my notebook, and added another item to my list. Tell Lily we're enough. Because we were enough, me and her against the world. I didn't need their approval, their fake hugs, their empty promises. I'd been their lifeline for so long, they'd taken it for granted. Now they'd see what happened when the line went dead. As I sipped my coffee, the apartment grew quieter, as if the air were holding its breath. I wondered what they'd do when the bills came due, when the bank called, when the landlord knocked on the door. And this time, I didn't care. I'd spent years cleaning up their messes, paying their debts, swallowing their insults. Let them figure it out. I had my life to fix. Lily would be home in a few hours. I would make those cookies. We would laugh like there was nothing in the world to worry about. I had just taken the first step towards something better, not revenge, but freedom. It felt good. 3 days after I'd withdrawn my mom's rent, Dad's insurance, and Samantha's loan, I'd been quiet, ignoring her scathing voicemails. I'd almost enjoyed the silence, like the calm before a storm you know is coming but can't predict. That morning, I was washing dishes when there was a knock on the door. I froze, sponge dripping in my hand. No one knocked at 8 a.m. in my building unless it was a delivery person or a neighbor begging for Wi-Fi. I dried my hands, half expecting a pack of clearance socks I'd ordered to save money. Instead, I opened the door to Samantha, who looked like she'd been dragged through a thrift store explosion. Her hair was a bird's nest, mascara streaked under her eyes, and she was holding a cup of coffee like it was her lifeline. "Rachel," she said hoarsely, "we need to talk." I raised an eyebrow, leaning against the doorframe to block her entrance. "Talk? That's new." My tone was bitter, but she didn't flinch. She looked broken, which confused me. Samantha wasn't doing anything self-destructive, just the usual tantrums and endless selfies. This was uncharted territory, and I wasn't sure I liked it. "Can I come in?" she asked, her eyes darting as if she expected her mother to show up and scold her. I stepped aside, not because I wanted to, but because I was curious. What could she possibly say that wasn't "give me money"? She shuffled in, sitting on my couch as if it might bite her. I didn't offer coffee. Petty, sure, but I don't open a coffee shop for bums. I sat across from her, arms crossed, waiting. She fidgeted, picked at her chipped fingernails, then finally spoke. "I know you're mad. I get it. Mom's going crazy over the rent, Dad's freaking out over the meds, and I can't fix the spa without that loan." Her voice cracked, and for a second I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then I remembered her smirking as I paid her ransom, and the pity melted away. "That sounds rude," I said, my tone flat as a stale soda can. "But I'm not your accountant anymore, Sam. Figure it out for yourself." Her eyes widened as if she expected me to succumb to the first sob. "Rachel, come on," she said, leaning forward. "I know we've treated you badly, but I thought they'd at least be nice to Lily," even if she trailed off, biting her lip, and my radar pings went off. Even if what? Have you ever felt like you were the odd one out in your own family? That no matter how hard you tried, how much you loved, you were never meant to be? Share your feelings in the comments. Maybe your story will be a source of encouragement to someone else who feels as alone as Rachel. I leaned in, my voice low and dangerous. "Even if what, Samantha?" She froze like a child caught stealing cookies. "Nothing," she muttered, but her eyes screamed guilt. I wasn't going to let this go. I'd spent years swallowing their half-truths, and I was done. "No, tell me," I urged, my words cutting. "What do you mean, even if? Spit it out, or I swear I'll kick you out myself." She jumped, twisting her coffee cup until the lid popped off, splashing water onto her jeans. Okay, she exclaimed, her voice panicked. "I didn't mean to. I thought you knew." "Know what?" I was standing now, towering over her, my heart pounding in my chest. She looked up, her eyes wet, and the words tumbled out like a confession in a bad AA meeting. "I'm adopted, Rachel. Mom, Carol, she's not my real mom. I think she told me years ago. I swear, I didn't mean to." She stopped, covering her mouth, but the damage was done. The room spun, not because I was shocked, but because all the pieces of my life suddenly clicked together. Adopted, not really family. I slumped back in my chair. "Adopted," I repeated, tasting the word like poison. Samantha nodded, stuttering, trying to back away. "It's no big deal, right? I mean, you're still you. They took you in when your real mother couldn't raise you. She was a college kid, got pregnant, the family went crazy, so she gave you up." "Mom, Carol, she wanted a child, so..." I didn't cry. Not my style. Instead, I laughed, a hoarse, guttural sound that echoed off the walls. Adopted, of course. It explained everything. Mom's coldness like I was a project she was bored with. Dad's distance like I was an overstay. Samantha's status as their golden child because she was their real daughter, flesh and blood, while I was the bastard they'd picked up for bonus points. I paced the apartment, my thoughts a storm. All those years, I'd thinking I was worthy of their love, proving my worth with every check, every favor. But I would never be enough. I was not their big love. I pulled a box from the closet, the one I'd stuffed under old tax returns years ago. Inside were photos, letters, scraps of the life I thought was mine. I rummaged through them, hands shaking, looking for something, anything that might hint at the truth. There was a picture of me at 5, gapped-toothed and grinning, standing next to Samantha's crib. Mom was holding me, beaming, while I clutched a teddy bear like it was my only friend. Another picture of me at 10 accepting a math award. Mom and Dad were in the background applauding, but their eyes were on Samantha, who had just thrown a tantrum over a lost toy. I flipped through more, my chest tightening. I was always there, but never focused. Always the helper, the fixer, the one they kept because I was useful. I found a letter, yellowed and folded, tucked into an unaddressed envelope. It was from my mother. Carol, sent a month after my first birthday. She's a good girl, it read, quiet, smart, but difficult. I want a child, but sometimes I wonder if I'm enough for her. There was no mention of adoption, but the tone was the same, distant, as if she were evaluating a product she wasn't sure she would keep. I crumpled it, my nails digging into my palm. They had adopted me, sure, but not out of love. Out of duty. I was their trophy, proof of their kindness, until Samantha came along and rewrote the script. Lily's toys lay scattered on the floor, a plastic unicorn staring at me with dead eyes. I thought of her holding me last night, saying, "You're the best, Mom. That was true. That was mine. But what about the rest? The family I'd killed myself for?" A lie. I wasn't shocked. I was too skeptical. I was hurt, like someone had ripped my insides out and left me empty. Every memory was tainted now. Every "I'm proud of you," every "you're such a good girl" from Mom. They weren't meant for me. They were used for my role as a good salvage project who made their world go round. I held the phone, my thumb hovering over Mom's number. I wanted to call, to scream, to ask why they'd lied for 32 years. But to what end? They would lie, say I was overreacting, that I should be grateful they saved me. I could hear Mom's voice. "We gave you a home, Rachel. What more do you want?" No, I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of a fight. They weren't worth my anger. They didn't deserve me. Instead, I texted Lily's daycare asking if I could pick her up early. I needed her voice, her warm hug, her unadulterated joy. I needed to remember what was real. As I waited for their response, I looked around my apartment, shallow, yes, but ours. There were no pictures of Mom or Dad or Samantha on these walls, just Lily's drawings, my coffee stains, our life. I had been chasing a family that didn't exist, but I had one right here, small and messy and mine. The nursery texted back. Lily was ready any minute. I grabbed the keys, my heart still aching, but steadier now. Samantha's words had torn me apart, but they had also freed me. I wasn't their daughter, their sister, their anything. I was Rachel, Lily's mother, who I was, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like that was enough. A week after Samantha's confession, our apartment was filled with laughter. I spent days dodging Mom's calls. Now her voicemails were full of sobs and rage, as if I had stolen her crown. Samantha was silent. Dad? I didn't care. I was too busy with life. But I did more than avoid them. I dug through old emails, found evidence of Mom using my name for shady loans, and sent them all to the bank with a polite, "Please look into this fraud." I posted my story online, nameless, enough to make the crowd gasp, including screenshots of Mom's IOU messages. The fallout was swift. Mom's accounts were frozen, her prized home was foreclosed, and Samantha's spa dreams were dead again, with no loan to save her. Dad's medications, not my problem. They were fighting, and I felt nothing. Not happy, not guilty, just free. I looked her in the eye and said, "Families don't lie and use you. You taught me that." She walked away, defeated. Samantha tried to text me a threatening message, but I blocked her mid-sentence. Done. That night, Lily and I ate cookies and watched cartoons, and she laughed louder than at any party. Lily asked, "Are we okay, Mom?" I held her tight. "Honey, we'll be happy forever." Outside, it was snowing. I didn't care about them anymore. I only cared about Lily, and that was enough. If you've made it this far, I just want to say one thing. Thank you. Tell me, have you ever had to grit your teeth to keep the peace in your family? Have you ever asked yourself, am I worthy of true love? Leave a comment sharing your experiences. I've read them all, and I believe that people of my generation will find common ground in each other's stories. If this story touches your heart, please like, share it with a friend who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe so we can continue to listen to real life together. We have sacrificed too much to be silenced forever. It's time to stand up for ourselves, for the peace we deserve.